Welcome to the Sales Lead Dog podcast, hosted by CRM technology and sales process expert Christopher Smith, talking with sales leaders that have separated themselves from the rest of the pack. Listen to find out how the best of the best achieve success with their team and CRM technology. And remember, unless you are the lead dog, the view never changes.
Welcome to Sales Lead Dog. Joining me today on Sales Lead Dog, I have Sylvain Jacob. Syl is the Vice President of Sales at MicroServe. Syl, welcome to Sales Lead Dog.
Thank you, Chris. Pretty appreciate it, the opportunity to be here, and I looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, me too. Syl, tell me a little bit about MicroServe.
Yeah, so MicroServe is an IT service provider based in Western Canada. We operate in British Columbia and in Alberta, and now extending into Saskatchewan. We have 560 employees in both provinces, and the majority of them are field technical services, delivering solution every day to our customers. Our total revenue is roughly $250 million today, and growing fast year over year. Our sales organization is roughly 40 people, comprised of both inside sales team members and outbound sales team members, serving customers every day.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. For those of you that maybe don't know much about the MSP space, companies like MicroServe, that's pretty big sized company in this space. You guys, that's impressive.
Yeah, especially focused on only two provinces and 2.5 provinces essentially in the Canadian country. We're pretty proud of our accomplishment over the past 37 years.
Yeah, and you don't get to be that big without being good at what you guys do, I imagine, right?
Yeah, exactly. We're proud of our services. We're proud of everything we do for our customers every day.
That's awesome. Syl, when you look back over your career, you've been doing this for a while now. What are the three things that have really driven you and led to your success?
I would say tenacity, perseverance, and people skills, caring about the people, the organizations, both internally and externally. We care about our customers, obviously. We care about our employees, and also we have a huge partner relationships with our OEM community, like Lenovo and Dell and HP and all the the community out there. So there's a big component of our engagement that connects with our OEM partners.
Yeah. Is there any one of those, when you say tenacity, for you personally, where does that come from?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. When we engage with clients, sales starts with a no. When you got the rejection happening, it's like, okay, how do I, can find a pain point from a customer? It's, one of the things that we do well here is that we have nothing to sell to begin with. We try to focus on, hey, let's have a conversation like you and I are having right now, and let's understand your priorities and challenges. And it's about having that conversation, 95% of the time, once we're able to have that conversation with the customers, we're able to find a pain point where we can help them. It's not about replacing anybody, in the marketplace, when we start a new relationship with a customer. The other component of tenacity is to make sure that our customers' needs are served every day. Customers have pain point, we got to make sure we deliver on those pain points. And we love the outcome when the customer says, hey guys, good job, and they give us a good tap on the back, or they recognize one of our employees inside the organization. It's quite rewarding when you're able to break that ice, gradually and with the customer, and be able to get to a positive outcome at the end of a project.
When you think back to your first job in sales, what did you love the most about that job, and what did you like or dislike the most about that first job in sales?
Wow, that brings me back a few years, Chris.
We're going back in time.
I've been going back in time. It was a Paperboy. It was a lot of fun. My
Yeah.
first job, I think I was 13 or 14 years old, and I had a paper route of 20. I started a paper route with 25 customers, 25 doors to deliver. And after 3 years of doing this, I ended up with 80 over time, asking customers if they wanted a paper delivered at their door every day. And then, so the growth activity, being able to successfully add new customers to my route along the way was, I found it really rewarding. And this is where I think I got the drug out of, a very young age about the world of sales. And what I really didn't like about the world of sales, it was collecting the money. Delivering the papers and adding new customers was one thing, but at the evening when customers were awake, instead of in the morning, collecting the money during evening, at dinner time, that was probably the portion that I didn't like the most. But
Yeah.
I needed the money to get paid, so
Yeah.
it needed to be done anyways. So that was the portion that I didn't like as much.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I hate that part of my business as well. I love delivering the service and doing all that. I hate sending out invoices and all that whole process, but it's how I get paid. You got to do it, right?
Yeah.
Nothing's free.
Yeah, thankfully today, I don't have to do this,
Yeah.
as much. We have a great accounting team that does
Yeah.
that. It's only when things gets out of the way that the sales team gets back involved.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. When you were working through your early years in sales,
Yep.
what are some of the key lessons you learned that you still utilize today?
Well, first I was fortunate to have an opportunity out of school to join an IT reseller, in my hometown. And, I didn't go to school to be in sales. I didn't plan this. I actually went to school to be an IT professional, like a CIO kind of role.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, well, I don't have an IT director job yet, so let's start by going at work at this local reseller that I got to know when I was in university.
Yeah.
And I got to like it. I got to engage with customers, the social aspect of engaging with clients, and finding new opportunities. And I got to, over the years, enjoyed it. And then the money was better over time than having the job on the other side, on the customer side. So I decided to make a career out of it, and I've been doing this for 38 years.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. It's funny how many times I ask that question or questions similar to that. People are like, I had no plan to get into sales, just kind of happened,
Yeah. Today, I mentor a lot of students out of universities, and there's actually schools specifically for the world of sales.
Yeah.
There's people actually go to school for this, but at the time that I went to university, that thing did not happen. It was not a trade.
No, I'm glad schools are doing that. I've always thought that was a huge gap, that
Yeah.
they weren't like, it's fundamental to every business, right? Why
Totally.
isn't there a degree in sales?
Totally.
Yeah. So tell me about your path into leadership. How did that path start? Was that a conscious decision on your part that, hey, I want to move into leadership, or was that also something you fell into?
No, that was a conscious one. After, I would say, just running the math here, roughly 20 years of being an individual contributor, I had developed this specialty area in one particular IT domain that I became the subject matter experts, and I, got President's Club and High Achievers program, and I was, put on the on a stadium kind of thing as being a top performer in this space. So I said, hey, why not me helping others, do the same role? So I decided to get on that journey to become a leader of that group. And interestingly enough, that was, in terms of milestone, my first attempt to become a leader in this organization, I didn't get the job. So I said, why? I'm the best at it. I'm the best salesperson, which is a big learning in this whole equation, because not all the best salespeople can become a good sales leader. And at the time, the organization I was working with had a great mentorship program, which really changed my life. I received excellent coaching on the reasons why I didn't get the job and the things I had to work on to develop myself professionally to have, the next time I go at it, that I would have a better chance of success. So I worked on these 4 things, line after line, and, internalized them, worked, towards improving on each one of those elements that were a concern for me to become a leader inside the organization. And then 4 years later, 3.5 years later, I finally went at it again in a different working capacity, and I finally got my first leadership job in the organization. Yeah. So that was really conscious. It was a 3.5 year kind of program development within the organization I was working with at the time. So I was quite fortunate to have the support that I received during these years to access my career path.
Was that hard for you to internalize? You mentioned you had to internalize that. Was that difficult to you early on? Because I imagine it was probably a bit of a shock to you hearing that feedback.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see that coming from the left field. So I was really a shock, I almost quit. I was didn't sure I didn't know should I belong there? Did they really believe in me? It was a bit of a cultural challenge to deal with. But after a few days digesting it and having a few conversations, I internalized it and put a plan together and decided to trust the leader at the time, which I'm still in contact today with. She's a great friend of mine. So yeah, it was a great journey. They provided me external mentors inside the organization in other business lines of business that I was able to ask some questions and have some guidance along the way. And that really made the difference.
Yeah, I truly believe the best leaders are formed. They're not born that way, but you have to learn it. It's a skill you have to develop. There are some leadership qualities, I think some people, the successful leaders, that are innate, but I think the truly best leaders really have to develop. Yeah. And that having mentors is a huge part in that. Nobody does that on their own. You have to have someone who's coaching you, that's been there, done that. Has that become a kind of a key tenet of how you like to act in your leadership role?
Yeah, internally and externally. I now have 28 mentees in post-secondary institutions. So I'm doing this internally with our sales organization today, which I'm working for MicroServe now for just a little over 10 years. Because we serve a lot of post-secondary institutions in our customers, I've registered myself as one of their mentors. And this is super rewarding, in terms of coaching and leadership. When you have a student that's kind of an early grad and they finally get their first job after having done a few sessions with you and dry run interviews and, practice, why this and why that, and, have them dry run their answers. And then some of these individuals 3-4 years down the road in their career are still reaching out to me and asking for advice on their next step of their careers. I find it super rewarding in terms of personal growth and personal giving back to the community aspect of my job. It's part of us representing MicroServe in the marketplace.
That's awesome. Do you cultivate that with people within your team as well? So it's like part of your culture at MicroServe?
Yeah. I mean, it's hit and miss. We can always do more, but sometimes people don't see the value. They'll try one, and so yeah, it's definitely strongly encourage to do that kind of stuff. It's part of giving back to part of our culture and giving back to community. There's multiple ways we can give back to community, and that's one of them. So people choose which direction they want to, go back to give back to community. There's multiple ways to make sure that we're good corporate citizens in the market. Yeah,
no, I love that. Because again, I know the roles mentors have played in my life, and I think it's a huge way to impact other lives in really just amazing ways. Because especially like when you're saying like they're 4 years down the road,
they're still reaching out.
Yeah, I mean, and
love it.
Those getting started, that to me is like one of the hardest times in most people's lives, is like just getting that first job.
Yeah.
and so helping them over that initial hump, that's huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When you're talking with these mentors or the mentees,
Mhm.
um, are there certain areas you like to focus on in terms of how you like to guide them or the types of advice you like to give them?
Yeah. The first advice I provide them is it's not all about them. It's about the value that they provide to an organization. So they need to shift their thought process most of the time. Why do you want this job? Well, I want this job because I want to grow my career.
Right.
Well, yeah, everybody wants to grow their career. So I coach a lot of people about turning those answers around and putting them more of a sales perspective, from a sales perspective, about them delivering value to the organization they're applying a job for. That's probably the biggest shift that I have on mentees in those conversations. The second element is educating them sometimes in the potential of the IT industry. Sometimes they have a tunnel vision, primarily driven by the retail kind of motion, what's going on in the retail space, and their job perspective is very narrow compared to what's available to them in the marketplace. The IT industry is so wide. You've got IT, value-added reseller like us. You got system integrators. You got OEM manufacturers. You got MSPs. So you got a whole bunch of types of organizations and the students that whether in marketing or in accounting or in sales jobs or careers don't necessarily understand our industry. So I really try hard to make sure I open their eyes to what's available in the marketplace in terms of job opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, unless you have someone that's really opening their eyes to that, their perspective, they just don't know.
Exactly.
What's truly available to them, and they miss out because of that.
Yeah, and looking for a job is a sales job.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And some of the things you're saying too about how you're getting them to reframe their perspective and how they can help the organization. I imagine once they get those sales jobs, that also applies to how they can help customers as well, correct?
Totally. Yeah, it's win-win. It's always about how you deliver value to the person that you're interacting with, and how you can help them be successful while driving success for yourself at the same time.
Yeah. How do you cultivate leaders, future sales leaders, in your role now as a VP of sales?
Oh, that's amazing. That's a great question. It's live now. It's happening in the last year and a half. So, I now have 4 managers on my team, and 2 outbound sales managers and 1 sales manager internally. And in 2 cases, I've promoted from within. In 1 case, I hired externally, or we as a company hired externally. And it's interesting because you hire people with different backgrounds and different knowledge points. Let's call it that way.
Yep.
So right now I've got a sales manager that's coming in with a ton of leadership skills. He was a VP of sales before in a smaller organization, and he's coming into MicroServe with very little IT background, but tons of leadership skills.
Right.
And then the other gentleman that's on my team comes in with a strong IT background, and he's, I believe in the individual. I saw in the person the fundamental skills from a communication perspective and people skills that, set him up for success already, by default, to be a good leader. But he's learning everything about leadership and how to interact with his team and how to interact with the other members of the leadership team.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see these growth opportunities, coming from very different perspective, and how they're progressing, in parallel with each other and helping each other, in their different vantage points.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, especially to have so together kind of balance each other really well.
Totally.
And can really become like the foundation of a great team
Yeah.
leadership team
And
for
I
you.
bounce myself off of them as well.
Yeah.
I'm part of their team essentially.
Yeah.
I'm not above them. I'm just part of the team. And the other manager that's that I've grown on the team was for the inside sales team. I grew him from within as well, and he's doing really well. It's been 6 years in the making, so I'm really proud of those team members.
That's awesome. What attributes are you looking for when you're about to tap someone on the shoulder saying, "Hey, I want to talk to you about a leadership role"?
Um, I would say that they come to me with those ideas first. They have to be willing and desiring that thought process or that direction well before I tap them on the shoulder. That's my perspective on this. They already had the willingness and a desire to move in that direction, and then asking the right questions. Why is just making sure it's not about just the money and all that kind of stuff, right? Because if you're doing it just for the money, you're gonna hate the job. Do the move because you want to do it. For the types of job and the types of activity and the types of reward that you'll get out of this, not because of the money. If you're doing it for the money, you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yep. Yeah, no, because you're going to be disappointed. Money's rarely a long-term motivator.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to believe in people. You need to, understand that your success now becomes from the success of your people, and that kind of thought process with them. So that's what the way I've been handling it over the years.
Yeah, I remember when I started out in my early roles as a leader, and even as a parent with my children, it's hard to give them the space to fail. Was that ever a struggle for you?
I like it. I give them as much rope as they need. Kind of thought process. No, it hasn't been a struggle. I maybe sometimes I trust too much and I let them go, but come and ask me questions. I've got other things to do right now, and we have a one-on-one once a month, and they come prepared with their questions and their ideas and their challenges. But other than that, you come to me when you need me. Other than that, you're running your business. That's essentially what it is. It's that they own the business within their organization, and they're running with it. And once a month, an hour a month, we get together more formally. The rest of the month, you reach me when you need me.
Yeah. Do you find that because that's a lot of rope for a lot of organizations? Do you find that that's unique to your organization, or is that a model do you think would work in most organizations?
It depends. I mean, we culturally we have very much we over the last 10 years, 10 years ago we were 96 employee, 250 employees and 560 today. So we're really coming in from a background of entrepreneurship, and we can't afford to be it's high volume, low margin kind of business, high velocity of transactions and acceleration on our services play. And we don't have time to, handhold people. They need to hold their own. And that's culturally, an entrepreneurship organization by design. We don't tell people what to do daily and, monitor them. We have a few KPIs here and there to make sure performance is in the right direction and stuff. But, we very much have an entrepreneurship culture inside the organization. Same from me to my boss with the owner of MicroServe. So I think that makes the job fun. People that are comfortable into this environment, they have fun doing it. But if you want to be managed, if you want to be in the box, from a role and responsibility and, and work for a very large organization that's got all these processes and, job definition and, all this kind of stuff, MicroServe might not be the right company for you.
Yeah. I wasn't going to use this word. I wanted to see where you went with your answer, but when you described your model to me, I'm like, it's incredibly entrepreneurship. It's really an entrepreneur model where you're saying, hey, here's your chunk of the business. Make it happen.
Yeah. It's same thing with our sales team, right?
Yeah.
We got a portfolio of services offering, that's pretty wide. We have a lot of components to serve customers. This is why when we approach clients, we have nothing to sell. It's all about pain points. Most of the time we get the customers, and it's not about selling PCs or servicing PCs. They talk about their staffing issues, that they have a hard time finding people in the marketplace. Well, we have a service for that. Let's talk about how we can help you finding the right people for the right seats inside the organization. So sometimes customers, they don't understand the scope of our organization. It's by just understanding their pain point that we're able to hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, where it's like, hey, I'm not here to sell you something. I'm here to become your trusted advisor. We're going to become your partner in business. That's a long-term relationship versus a transactional relationship.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes the job fun.
It does. And also that supports the kind of growth you guys have had.
Yeah.
You're not going to grow like you guys have if you're churning customers all the time. You get a customer, you want them long-term.
Yeah, because the word gets around, right? We haven't lost any customers in the past 10 years that I've been here, so it's been a great experience.
That's unreal. That's unheard of. That means you're taking care of your customers. So I imagine that is instilled throughout your organization as well as part of your culture.
Yeah, this is why the organization does not really have any quotas from a sales culture perspective. We have sales target incentive kind of thing, but we don't have this quarterly cadence, and where from a customer experience, this drives a behavior that we don't want to drive in front of our clients. Hey, give me that PO. Well, I'm not ready to give you the PO. I'm not ready yet. Well, there's still that pressure on quotas that drives a culture in the conversation with customers that we're really trying not to instill inside our sales organization. So the sales compensation model is very it's geared towards the fact that we don't want to drive the wrong behavior with our customers.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly what I was thinking of, because I think that mentality of it's all about the quota, achieving those short-term goals. That's when people start cutting corners, start looking for how can I make this happen so it benefits me versus how can I best help my customer.
Yeah, and that's the benefit of working for and dealing with an organization that is not on the stock market. We were privately owned, so it provides a lot of flexibility in our customer engagement and decision making process, close to the customer. So we don't rely on the stock market for our KPIs. We have local ownership here that makes things a lot more fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. Does that make it easier for you to hire when you're building your sales team? That your culture, do you find that might scare people? The level of autonomy you give your people, that comes with, it's a double-edged sword.
Yes.
You got to deliver. Like, we're going to give you lots of rope, but you still got to deliver.
Yeah. And we have our own metrics on how to make sure we take people from the ground zero to success. But when I call it kind of the good, the bad, and ugly kind of conversation before we hire somebody. I typically have a session with them to say, hey, ask me all the questions you want at this point in time. We want this relationship to be a long-term relationship, 10 to 15 years, at least, in terms of your career inside the organization. And we try to be open and honest and transparent in that, last session in the interview. Okay, you got the job, but do you really want the job, right? And we have these conversations with people on the team to make sure that the culture fit, the entrepreneurial culture fit, really is internalized in those conversations. So we pay particular attention in that stage to make sure that we have the right culture fit on the people we hire.
Right. I'm getting the impression from talking with you, Sil, that you guys really also have a culture it's about the team. It's about the organization, not the individual.
Yeah. and it's cross-functional. The account managers, they need to collaborate, which is probably common in a lot of organizations, but they're never alone. They need to have, the conversations about the size of our portfolio. It creates benefits, but also creates a challenge to the fact that we can't know it all.
Right.
As a sales individual, I need to know the needs of my customers.
Yep.
And I need to know the pain points. And then I need to turn around and bring the resources, to this cause or to this project, to deliver the right solution for the customer. They're collaborators. Their success drive is driven by their ability to collaborate with a cross-functional organization, and that's internally and externally.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll bring in the OEMs, and sometimes we're bringing some subject matter expert inside the organization. Sometimes we'll bring in an external consultant. So, they collaborate and they coordinate the SME conversation in front of the customers. So it's really about the team and the cross-functional collaboration.
That's amazing, because ultimately it's about taking care of the customer, and who do we need to get involved to help the customer? That's how you drive success. You can't do that alone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they are a sales organization that the lone wolf sales style will work, not here.
Right. Yeah. No. Especially when you're selling technology, a lot of times it's very complex.
Yeah.
You can't do it alone.
Yeah. When you do from end user compute all the way to data center and storage and networking, it's like,
no, there's no way.
Yeah, there's a couple of areas that you can be better at than others, but you got to recognize that you got to reach out and know the people that have the knowledge that you don't have, and it becomes a people relationship thing, both internally and externally.
Yeah. How do you guys leverage failure as a learning or teaching exercise within your organization?
Yeah, we debrief as a team. And we share those wins and losses, because there's also the successes and how to learn from the successes and learn from the failures. Luckily, we have more successes than we have failures. But what we do when we have failures is that we debrief one with the customer, and then we document what we learned from the customer, and then share it internally. Take actions on some of the course corrections that we sometimes have to do. To improve as an organization. We have a continuous improvement program inside the organization that allows us to take that feedback and relay it inside the organization. One of the key areas that that we commonly see, and we constantly need to reinforce this, is getting in early in the sales cycle, right? I mean, I'm probably not telling anybody anything that they don't know already, but when an RFP hits the street, you haven't been on it already, and having built relationship with customers, it's already too late. It's so tempting, though.
It is
so tempting. It's right there, right?
Yeah.
And it's right in our sweet spot, and we do this stuff, right?
Yeah.
We've done it somewhere, so many other places.
Yes.
And it's like sometimes we say yes, we support, and the outcome is most of the time the expected outcome, where you see a huge difference when the opportunity was already identified 6 to 8 months ago, and the pain points, and the people, and then you pursue the RFP and you're meaningful about it.
Yes.
So we put a lot of focus on those situations, so that each individual learns from these situations. And when a new person comes on board, we give them a little bit more rope.
Yep.
And they learn from it.
Yes. Yes.
So and then we tie it back after 6 months to 8 months, because you could be busy responding to RFP every day. You stay busy every day responding to RFPs.
Yes.
But you're not going to be successful if you do that without proactively engaging.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, oh, I'm so busy, so busy, so busy, but I'm not closing anything.
Yeah, exactly. I'm responding to RFP all day.
Yeah. Sil, when
Yeah.
it comes to CRM, do you love it or do you hate it?
It serves a great purpose inside the organization. We have a lot of work to do as far as CRM governance is concerned.
Mhm.
Our current CRM is, embedded inside our ERP.
Mhm.
The reason, the answer to your question directly is, I'm kind of in between, because our CRM serves a great purpose. It allows us to clearly assign account managers to given customers by territory and by customer names and stuff like that. So I love it from the perspective of making sure that we have clarity at each one of our 15, 16 account executives on who's assigned to which account. Really easy. There's a territory field.
Yep.
It's a great tool for that. It's a great tool as well to make sure we keep a good records on who's who in the zoo inside those customers.
Yep.
So I love it for that. Where we have areas of improvement is the whole funnel and forecasting kind of governance piece of that.
Yep.
And that's the area where I don't love it as much, and most salespeople don't love it either.
Yep.
It's a little bit of admin work, and historically we haven't been reinforcing that.
Yep.
As the organization is growing now, at now $250 million, 250 million. We got to be a little bit more mindful of those dynamics with the size of our organization. That funnel and forecasting now becomes more important
Yes.
as the company grows. So we are working on fine tuning these processes internally right now. But that's the pieces that I don't love as much from
Yeah.
the tool that we're using today.
Yeah, that's one of the areas that I find, I've been doing this a long time, and that's a very common weakness that we see when we engage with a client that, they're heavily dependent upon Excel spreadsheets or whatever workaround they can put in place just to try to do the best they can.
Yeah.
But that makes it hard because you're making a lot of decisions. The leadership team's making a lot of decisions off that forecast.
Oh yeah.
And if you're just throwing darts at a dartboard, trying to hope to come up with the best thing you can, but it makes it a lot harder to have confidence in those decisions, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it does. So it was not necessarily an issue in the past, and
Yeah.
it is becoming a priority for us to fine tune this over time.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it comes down to having a strong foundation of data. That often gets overlooked as well. Like when we come in to work with a client, I see that a lot where, we'll ask them, just basic questions about their business. And they're like, hey, I'm gonna have to get back to you. But, if CRM's set up the right way, that should be at your fingertips. You should be able to answer these questions right away. And, but it's hard, especially when you're growing as fast as you guys have been growing.
Yeah.
A lot of times, you're thinking, hey, things are great. Then, 3 years goes by and you're like, oh my God,
Yeah, we've recognized that the current CRM that we're using, the embedded version inside of ERP, as a module of, is not the right solution for us going forward. So we have a project on the plan of record to refresh ERP and subsequently, bring in a new CRM inside the organization.
Yeah, I think that's wise. So it's been great talking to you here on Sales Lead Dog. I really appreciate you coming on the show. It's been a great conversation. People want to reach out and connect with you. If they want to learn more about MicroServe, what's the best way for them to do that?
So I'll spell my name. I got an email address, SYLVAIN. So that's Sylvain, SYLVAIN, J as in Jacob, at microserve.ca. So that's my email address. And you can reach me on LinkedIn. I should be easy to find on LinkedIn.
We'll have a link for that. Make it easy
LinkedIn
for
on my
people.
page. You send the team my LinkedIn page, and be more than happy to help out anyone that reach out.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if you didn't catch any of that, his email address, no worries. You can catch that all in our show notes. You can get that impellercrm.com/sales lead dog. where you'll get not only this episode, but all our 100+ episodes of Sales Lead Dog. So be sure to check that out. Subscribe so you can get our future episodes. Sil, it's been great talking to you. I really appreciate you coming on. And welcome to the Sales Lead Dog Pack.
Awesome. Glad to be part of the pack. Thanks, Chris.
You bet.
As we end this discussion on Sales Lead Dog, be sure to subscribe to catch all our episodes. On social media, follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Watch the videos on YouTube, and you can also find our episodes on our website at impellercrm.com/Sales Lead Dog. Sales Lead Dog is supported by Impeller CRM, delivering objectively better CRM for business, guaranteed.